This is the Depth Mystic Community Podcast, episode 48. This is a continuation of season 2. Season 1 was episodes 1 through 44, and each of those has an actual topic. In season 2, now we're sort of submitting to whatever we are able to think of in the moment as we record. I'm just giving you that warning that that's like how season 2 is operating right now. With me, as always, is Jungian depth mystic Zach Tolan. Hello. Yep, this is how we do it now. We just start talking. And also, promotional manager Zach Tolan. Hello, yeah, I am the promotional manager for the ministry at large, not just the podcast. Okay, so how do we even get started this week? I mean, what's been on your mind, Jungian depth mystic Zach Tolan? Well, it's very simple. We're faced with the task of building a storefront. A storefront? What do you mean? Well, it's a metaphor for an acknowledgement of the fact that our public-facing aspect, our credentials, our visibility, our reputation is not adequate. Nobody knows about us, and what else are we going to do with our life? Okay. I guess we can ask these 3 questions. What is the meaning of life? What should a person do with one's life? And specifically, what should I do with my life? Since I don't know exactly the answer to that question, and yet we do believe having a weekly podcast is a good thing, we've decided to dedicate part of our podcast to acknowledging the presence of that question and sort of exploring the answers. Yeah, that makes total sense. So this segment is a partial answer to that question. It's obviously not a complete answer. If all that you can come up with in terms of what you ought to do with your life is to publicly ask that question, you haven't figured out exactly what to do with your life. Let me turn it over to promotional manager Zach Tolan. What's going on with you? Well, I did start a Substack. I told you last week that I was going to start a Substack. And I posted one post. And it's just the beginning, But what is a Substack? It's a social media platform that's become popular with writers, particularly with very authentic writers. A lot of the philosophy about what's going on, I've found several people who are on Substack who really appeal to my general sense of truth. And therefore, when they say that Substack is the current place for writers to go, well, then the only question is, do we want to pretend to be a writer? Do we want to act the role of writer? And we need to know what we're doing. And so, yeah, I started a Substack. I wrote a post where I said that I was beginning in a authentic yin condition. I was beginning with yin, and then I defined yin. Okay, well, what do you mean? What is yin? Just to tell people. When I say I'm starting in a yin place, it means that I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm representing myself authentically rather than having some triumphant beginning. Instead of trying to write a great article, I'm just writing an article that is something like a confession of my current state. Yang is knowing what you think should happen. Like if I had an article I really wanted to write or something I really wanted to say, that would be yang. But it was more important to just kind of start rolling on the Substack thing, start playing the role of writer. Our handle is at Mystic Zach, MYSTICZACH. And go to Substack.com and leave a comment if you want to help me out. But yeah, at least for now, I'm working on the storefront, which is to say some kind of strategy for making anything we do sort of more accessible and obviously existent to the world, making us exist in the world. Okay, but we still have more time left in the show. We could come up with a topic, right? Or at least we can stumble into one through the kind of casual conversation that we're used to. I mean, now that we've basically confessed our whole situation, a weekly podcast is a good thing. We need a storefront, like a better storefront. Hey, what about the video game? Jungian Depth Mysticism. Are you working on that? Alas, no. It's too sort of depressing to think about working on the video game. It's like pure isolation. You might think, being a fully trained Jungian depth mystic, that I would have the inner resources to just plug away at the video game, even though it's even more isolating than every other part of our ministry. I'll get back to it. I will come up with the ability, but there's some kind of conflict going on where I think we ought to be going outward rather than inward. Until I understand what the video game is actually for in a deeper way, I don't know what to say. Okay, so what do we talk about? Is there anything depth mystical in the news? I guess so. I mean, in terms of my political worldview, my understanding of the things that go on in the news, my current feeling is that it's rather sophisticated, somewhat esoteric, and I'm not sure I can readily talk about the way I look at politics without, offending whoever. Okay, let's go back to promotional managers, Actolin. You said you made a first post on Substack, and you said something about it being yin, and maybe you could just talk a little more about that. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to get started. So I admitted right away I'm starting out yin, which means I'm starting out with, a general feeling that if I don't get started, something's wrong, rather than an absolute conviction about how I ought to start. And then I realized when I said that yin was a term that I use and not everybody is familiar with, certainly not in the way that I use it. And so I used most of the post to sort of describe what I mean when I say that. And then I introduced ourselves, said, hello, I'm a depth mystic. And the post was fine. It turned out fine. But it's just one post. When you're on a thing like Substack, you just kind of have to build your audience and interact with lots of people on there. So I'm trying to dose myself on the things that people on there are saying, reading different articles and sort of absorbing the landscape so I can go and comment on their things. And then out of appreciation for the fact that I comment on theirs, they can come and comment on mine, and then you slowly build the community that way. Yeah, and what else do we need on our storefront, I was thinking we could offer a consulting service. Of all the things a depth mystic is good for, probably being like a shaman, which is to say a mental health professional before there were mental health professionals, is a good thing we could hopefully offer. And it's certainly on offer if anybody wants to have a conversation and then drop a few pennies in the jar, then that's totally within the purview of what a depth mystic should be doing with his life. And maybe we've undersold ourselves in that regard. Normally, you have to get various credentials in order to advertise yourself as somebody worthy of that kind of consulting. And as you know, we've never fell in love with any of the credentials on offer. None of them was a coherent match when we looked at them for where we were in life at the time. And so we don't have any credentials, and we don't even have what we're aspiring to be. We could call ourselves a life coach. That's probably the closest thing that's within reach. But that's such a silly term in a lot of ways. But it is within reach. It is a way to be a counselor without having to go through extensive credential gathering. We don't have a storefront. We don't have a marketing approach to advertising ourselves as somebody who it would be good to consult with. But that's another thing that we're working on. This is our show. This is our community. And we are talking about the business of the community. And it is kind of indulgent. If we knew what our audience even wanted us to talk about, what they thought we might actually have some expertise in, then, we could direct our attention there. But since our storefront is so bad, we don't even have that kind of interaction with the community at this time. So it's like a very confessional podcast, talking about everything we're thinking, especially with regard to what we ought to do with our life. What is the meaning of life? And what should a person do with their life? Okay, that's episode 48. We're going to keep trying to come up with topics and ideas for our storefront. We'll see you next week.